Hello and welcome to the CadenCenter. It's time for the This Week in Sports. Today I'll be talking about the NBA Finals that recently wrapped up, where we saw the Denver Nuggets become NBA champions for the first time in their franchise history, defeating the Heat in 5 games. So I'm just going to go through each game, the storylines we saw, the players who performed well, who performed bad, and just recap it all, and then look ahead to the Nuggets and Heat future next year after these two amazing finals runs. And we start with, of course, Game 1, which was a Denver Nuggets win in Denver in that mile-high altitude. They won 104-93, and we saw a lot of what we'd seen from the Nuggets all playoffs long, led by Nikola Jokic's triple-double. Like I've said before, this guy is just putting up triple-doubles in the playoffs finals and making it normal. His performance in this game, his first ever finals game, didn't look like he felt the pressure at all. He was great, and he also got a lot of help from the other guys that we've seen, including Aaron Gordon, who I think scored the first 6 to 8 points of this game. He was just too big. The Heat weren't running that too big lineup with Love and Adebayo in Game 1, so Gordon always had a smaller man on him, and when that man jumps, it's a dunk every time. There's not really many people that can get him. Aaron Gordon had a great series overall. I'll talk about that more, and he deserves a lot of praise in Game 1. He really contributed on the offensive end, not just the defensive end like we've seen. Jamal Murray also continued to just be elite. He's in the conversation, one of the better point guards in the league now after this run. And he and his teammates just continue to make tough shots and timely shots. The key for a championship team is you have to hit the timely shots. Just when it's to be like, it would seem like the Nuggets were going to go down 8-10, give up an 8-0 run. They'd hit the shot, calm things down. And that was really what helped them win this game. And we also saw the Heat revert back to their regular season form. That was a big reason that they were a play-in team. They struggled to shoot from 3 in this game. They cooled down from the Celtics series. Haywood Highsmith did play well, but he was the only role guy that really showed up. Caleb Martin was not the same. Struce not the same. Vincent was not the same. And I'm sure Celtics fans were very mad watching those guys go from playing like a super team to struggling. But it is what it is. And Jimmy Butler in this series of all of them really seemed to have the least pep in his step, if you will. You could say it was maybe the ankle injury, but he just didn't seem to be the same or have the same ability to get past his defenders. And that was a big reason the Heat only had 2 free throws as well. So they weren't the more aggressive team. They didn't shoot well. But you did think, hold on, they did all that, but they were kind of in it all the way, only lost by 11. You thought maybe they'd have a shot. And then Game 2 comes around, and they get the win to even the series by a score of 111-108. And they did something that I don't know why they went away from, made Nikola Jokic only a scorer. When Nikola Jokic is a scorer and a passer, you cannot stop the Nuggets. When he is only scoring, as we saw in the Suns series when they lost 2 games in a row to tie that series 2-2, if he's just a scorer, you can win. And Jokic put up 40 points, but I think he had like 5 or less assists. It was the perfect scenario because you're only worried about one guy. You're like, okay, he dropped 40 on us, but that's okay. Because you know why? Michael Porter Jr. didn't drop 20. Jamal Murray showed in this game. He didn't drop 30 or go crazy. And so I don't know why they went away from it in future games, but in the future, next season, if you're game planning against the Nuggets, just let Nikola Jokic score, live with it. Don't let him facilitate because 35-10-10 is a lot worse than 45-10-5. I know it sounds ridiculous either way. They're both great stat lines, but there is a key to winning, and it's making sure Nikola Jokic doesn't drop a triple-double on you. The Heat showed a lot of fight, completed a comeback. Bam Adebayo and Gabe Vincent really stepped it up. Bam Adebayo kind of stepped it up all series long, to be honest, even though he was facing Jokic. Duncan Robinson scored 10 straight points in the fourth quarter. I mean, this is a guy who, during the 1920 season in the bubble, he was great. The next season, he was not as great, still good. The next season, he really fell off. And then he's back being a sniper for them. So he's been a little teeter-totter, but he did show up in this game. And then we finally saw Jimmy Butler become Jimmy Butler in the fourth quarter, closing it out. The Nuggets did make some silly plays, though. They had a few bad fouls down the stretch, and they didn't play like themselves at the end. That was a big reason the Heat were able to get the win. They did almost come back at the very end, though. Jamal Murray missed a 3 as time expired. And now you were looking at the series like, okay, it's 1-1. The Heat still home court. You know, they got their one. I know that's been a big thing I've been saying, especially when the Lakers were in the series. You just need to win one, steal home court. You can do it all. But then the Nuggets reminded us that they are a 1 seed. And they won 109-94 in Game 3 to take a 2-1 lead. And Nikola Jokic, like I said, don't let the man put up a triple-double. They let him put up a triple-double, but not only did he do a triple-double, Jamal Murray did the same, putting up 34, 10, and 10. And it reminded me of, obviously, a little bit different scenarios, but LeBron and Kyrie combining for 82. I mean, this is just as impressive. Two teammates putting up a triple-double in the finals. I mean, think of all the great duos in the NBA Finals that have had great performances in the same game. This one is right up there. You're not going to beat a team with two dudes that put up triple-doubles. Just an insane performance. And to be fair, Bam and Jimmy did show up for the Heat in this game. But again, the role players just weren't there. The scoring wasn't there. This was the first game in the series where you were really like, damn, if these guys had Tyler Herro, then it might be a different story. But they weren't able to keep up. Christian Braun also had a breakout game. I'll talk about more of him later in his little 5-peat on championships. He really stepped up. That was a great draft pick by the Nuggets. Nuggets really know how to develop players, as do the Heat. So it was good to see the rookie play well. Michael Porter Jr. only scored 2 points in this game, and the Nuggets still won, which is crazy because they have Bruce Brown who can replace him down the stretch. Like I said, Christian Braun. So Nuggets took back home court, 2-1 lead, and in Game 4, once again, did the same, won 108-95, took a 3-1 lead, and this was the Nuggets' death game. They've had a lot of these, but this was really one of them. Aaron Gordon and Bruce Brown had phenomenal performances. Bruce Brown is about to get a bag in free agency. Aaron Gordon, like I said, great playoff run from him. I believe Jokic and Murray both shot like under 50% in this game, and they still won. Kevin Love probably should have started playing more minutes because when he was in the game, they were doing well. I believe they took him out towards the end, and that's when they went on a run, and Love was obviously able to give them more size when they were putting in Gordon and Jokic. But Eric Spoelstra, rare mistake, maybe not playing him as much, not just in this game, but overall in the series. Vincent and Strus once again struggled. I mean, that's just the life of a role player sometimes. Sometimes you're great, sometimes you're bad. Once again, Celtics fans probably pretty mad. And at this point, up 3-1, I had pretty much the Nuggets winning. Like, it was no contest. I did have the Nuggets winning in 6, but after this game, it was like, okay, I mean, they're obviously not losing 3 straight. They're going to be at home in Game 5 and close it out. And close it out they did in what was the best game of this series, though. Overall, I think the series was pretty mediocre, and it wasn't all that entertaining. But this game was, and I even have it written down here, just 2 words to describe it, utter chaos. The shooting from both teams was brutal, especially the Nuggets, because look, we know the Heat, they can struggle. But when the Nuggets are struggling, shooting like 18% from 3 like they did the first 3 quarters, that was insane. Nothing could go. Bam Adebayo was the guy who did have a good offensive game. Like I said, good series. It was nice for him to show up. Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, and Aaron Gordon all had like 2 or 3 fouls very early on, which is also a big reason the Nuggets only put up 94 points. But it was countered by Jimmy Butler really in the first 3 until the last like 4 to 6 minutes. Just once again, unable to do much. And I know he said in the post-game press conference, was the injury, no excuses. I'm going to make the excuse for Jimmy and say it was the injury because I refuse to believe this guy just like fell off all of a sudden a week after beating the Celtics, 2 weeks after beating the Knicks, the Bucks. Like I do genuinely believe that it was part of the injury. But his lack of ability to play well left the Heat, who again, Tyler Herro's out, relying a lot on these less talented role players in Martin Strus and Vincent to show up again and carry them to a win in the NBA Finals against a very good Nuggets team, which just wasn't going to happen. And again, this is another game, probably the biggest one besides was a Game 2 or Game 3 where they really need Herro. That Herro would have been nice, a guy to go to in the clutch to score, especially when the defense was just wild. And Herro would have really combined with Kyle Lowry nicely in this game because Lowry made some timely shots at a couple threes. He had like a fadeaway 3 in the corner. He was turned to his Raptors self for a couple of minutes there. But Jokic and Porter Jr. themselves also were able to hold steady despite the struggles. And man, when Nikola Jokic gets the ball in the paint and he can just go to that floater, he just doesn't miss. It was when the Nuggets were struggling to score in that 4th quarter, they were able to give him the ball. Porter Jr., he did take a bad shot towards the final minute 30 and got subbed out for Bruce Brown. But before that, he was playing very well and getting the buckets. And the final 4 minutes of this game was, like I said, crazy, most entertaining game of the series. Jimmy Butler hit like 2 straight threes, got fouled on a 3, and you're like, okay, he's going to take over, he's going to carry him, he's going to get another win. He did come up short, and then we had that last real offense position for the Heat, where he turned around and just threw the ball away to KCP. Eric Spoelstra might need to call a timeout there. He also elected to not challenge the could-have-been charge from Jokic to Kyle Lowry. So another couple mistakes from Spo that we don't usually see. But again, even if the Heat won this game, they were losing in 6. They weren't making any crazy comeback. But the fourth quarter, if you go back and rewatch it, it was like watching a middle school game sometimes. The ball was always loose. Passes were not being made. It was just weird. But it was the type of gritty finals basketball that you expect. You know, you can call it ugly, but it's also just competitive. It's when these world-class players lock in on defense. It's going to be very tough to score on them. And ultimately, the Nuggets were able to get enough to win, like I said, the first ever championship franchise history. Finals MVP was Nikola Jokic. I mean, obviously, triple-double machine. And I think Jokic is now, without much debate, the best player in the world. Going into the season, I said Giannis was the best player in the world. But we saw how that went. And I think Jokic, I mean, yeah, he has a lot of help, but this dude, like, there's no other guy in the league right now, I think, who could put up a triple-double in the finals and win it like this. So I think he is the best in the world. He should have won MVP this year. Joel Embiid, you know, voter fatigue, whatever. Robbed Jokic of one of the greatest, most decorated seasons of all time. But it's all good. As for the rest of the Nuggets, Jamal Murray, like I said, one of the top guards in the game. The injuries last couple of years hindered him, but you should have known, man. The bubble wasn't a fluke. He was like this. He just had to get healthy, and that's what happened. And Aaron Gordon, I've already talked about him a couple times, but I'm going to really expand on it now. This guy's defensive playoff run, when people mention this team 10 years, no one's going to talk about Aaron Gordon. They're going to talk about Jokic, Murray, etc. But Aaron Gordon went from guarding Anthony Edwards in the first round to Kevin Durant in the second round to LeBron James in the conference finals, and then Jimmy Butler in the finals. That is such elite defensive versatility to go from a young jump-in three-level scorer like Edwards to the generational scorer that KD is, to the bruiser that LeBron is, and then to the red-hot Michael Jordan-like playing Jimmy Butler had. That is something special. If there was a DPOI for the finals or the playoffs, he would get it. It's crazy to think he's come all the way from being the guy who was in the slam dunk contest, throwing it down for the Orlando Magic, to coming over, converting to be a winning player, not just putting up empty stats on a bad team. His defense was amazing. He's not a free agent, so he's already getting paid a lot, but if he was a free agent this season, he would be getting a even bigger bag. So hats off to Aaron Gordon. He was the guy that, you know, if you had to have an X factor for this playoff run, it's got to be him. And also the Nuggets' depth as a whole. Bruce Brown, another guy that's going to get paid this offseason. Jeff Green, Uncle Jeff as they call him, finally got his ring after playing for like 8 teams and losing in the finals. So their depth was just, it was crazy. They had 8 guys that they could put in, that they had confidence in to win. That's what you need. I know we're still kind of in the era of the super teams, over with the Suns and stuff, and still on a hangover from the Warriors. But at the end of the day, you're not going to win a championship unless you have at least 7, preferably 8 guys like the Nuggets had that can play and give you quality minutes, not lose your games. And also a fun fact, like I said before, Christian Braun, this guy is a pure winner. He won a state championship his sophomore, junior, and senior years of high school. He won the national championship with Kansas last year, and now he's won this. So he's on a 5-peat, and he contributed in all 5 of these. Like I said, he did not ride the bench. He came in the playoffs as a rookie, played well, stayed in the rotation in the finals, got it done. So thought that was a pretty cool fun fact. And now just looking ahead to next year, because the Nuggets title defense, it starts today. Nikola Jokic, I know, is upset that the parade is on Thursday and that he can't go back to his horses. But there's always next year for him to come. And the Nuggets will return Jokic, of course, Murray, Porter Jr., Gordon, KCP, Christian Braun, Zeke Naji is a team option that I assume they will accept, Kankar, and Peyton Watson. That is a good group to return. That's 6 guys from the current rotation. And I have to imagine Naji, he was a guy that was getting minutes earlier before this run. And I have to imagine he's a guy they'll want to step up and maybe, as they lose Jeff Green and I'm assuming Bruce Brown, play. Peyton Watson, I think, is a couple years away. But it's a good thing to have. But they will lose some guys. I'm expecting them to lose Bruce Brown. Bruce will obviously decline that player option for like $4-6 million, whatever it is, because he's going to get paid. Jeff Green is the other guy in the rotation to lose. They'll also lose Ish Smith. Shout out to him for playing like 13 teams, finally getting a championship, by the way. Thomas Bryant didn't play after getting traded from the Lakers. He's probably gone. DeAndre Jordan, Reggie Jackson. But like I said, the really only ones that matter are Brown and Green. And we saw, like with the Warriors this year, when they lost Otto Porter and, well, for half the season, Gary Payton II, it took a toll. It matters. Just those two guys. I know they're not even starting to come off the bench, but that can really matter. So we'll have to see. Like I said, maybe the Nuggets will have a guy already in the organization step up. Maybe they'll draft another guy who can fill that role. Maybe they'll make some trades or sign a different free agent. But I have to imagine those guys will get paid a lot of money. I don't think the Nuggets will be able to pay them. And as for the losing Heat, obviously, unreal run as an 8 seed to the finals. They fell short in the end, and if we know one thing about the Miami Heat, every NBA superstar has been photoshopped in their jersey, and the main guy right now is Damian Lillard. Whether they want to trade that core of role players, young role players, and Tyler Hero to get Dame, I don't know. Personally, I wouldn't because, I mean, Dame he's not a losing player by any means, but he is getting older. Defense is almost non-existent, and you'll be losing depth. And like I said, I think depth over having 3 stars right now is the way to go. Do they run it back? Like I said, I think they should. I know Bradley Beal is also in trade rumors right now, but I really think they should stray away from that. They strayed away from that despite all these rumors the past 3 years, and it's clearly worked out. 2 finals trips is what they needed. But we'll have to see. Lots of questions surrounding that team. We'll have to see how they reload. But overall, congrats to the Nuggets. And the NBA is a 12-month league, really. There's always something going on. We've got the draft in a couple weeks. Then we have the Summer League. And before you know it, we'll see the debuts of Chet Holmgren, Victor Wembanyama, Scoot Henderson, and the Nuggets title defense will begin. Thank you guys for watching all this NBA season. I'll be covering the offseason quite a bit, starting with the draft, like I said, in a couple weeks. So be on the lookout for that, and thanks for watching.